Let's pretend for a moment that you have no clue what watch we are taking a look at today. I know that you do. You clicked on the thumbnail, and not to mention I am probably rolling B-roll by now, but let's just pretend for one moment that you don't. What if I were to tell you that the watch that we are taking a look at today is a dive watch from a brand that is arguably one of the top 3 most important watch brands that has ever existed? A true legacy brand whose history spans 194 years and has a list of accolades that seem almost endless. First wristwatch to show a second time zone. First wristwatch chronograph. First Flyback chronograph. A logo that is the oldest unchanged trademark still in active use ever. And I mean ever registered with the World Intellectual Property Organization. And of course, we are talking Longines, one of Switzerland's first watchmakers to bring the craft out of the home workshop and into a full-scale, vertically integrated working factory. In fact, I will go ahead and get the debate started right now. Ask me who I think is the most important watchmaker of all time, and my first answer will always be Breguet. Ask me to name another, and it is very highly likely my next answer will be Longines. And in hand today, on loan from my friend CJ, is a diver that has been completely reimagined. Yet, oddly enough, at the same time, it feels unbelievably familiar. 42mm case, 39mm if you prefer. Ceramic bezel, lacquer dial, 300 meters of water resistance, and a 72-hour power reserve. All of this from the very same company that accompanied Amelia Earhart on both of her transatlantic flights. And yet, even with all of this, at $2,200, I still find myself coming back to the same question. Just who did Longines build this watch for? Well, that is exactly what we're going to try to find out today as we take a look at the new and some would say improved Longines HydroConquest. I've also dusted off my old version of the HydroConquest, which mine is older and it's a quartz version, but it gives us a good opportunity to see exactly how much has changed with this new generation. Because they didn't just update the HydroConquest, excluding the movement, they completely rebuilt it from the ground up. Most reviewers will tell you that the signature design of the original HydroConquest is the oversized 1269 numerals. And I get it, there is a solid argument to be had there, but in my opinion, that was never the HydroConquest defining characteristics. For me, it was the massive crown guards. Love them or hate them, but one thing is for sure, the moment you catch a side profile of this watch, you know exactly what you are looking at. And getting back to the 1269, Longines has done away with them as well, deciding instead to go with a mashup of oval, rectangle, and triangle applied indices that I would say if you have OCD, it will send you into overdrive. To be completely honest, they could have stopped here. These were the changes that made me question exactly who they were building this watch for. Clean, rounded crown guards, a much less cluttered dial. And did I mention that they swapped the aluminum bezel for ceramic? Although, in my opinion, I am not sure that was an upgrade. But what is a massive upgrade is the click. The click on this new bezel is light years ahead of the old. And I'm talking, it's not even close. The new bezel feels like a completely different price bracket. Here's the old. And here's the new. Old. New. I would say this new bezel, in my opinion, would be better compared to the Omega Seamaster. And I am not kidding. If you have not had the opportunity to have one of these new HydroConquest in hand, be prepared to be blown away. The new case sizes are a win, and the case has been completely redesigned to be much sleeker. Another thing I will mention, and I do not know if it is on all of the older versions or just mine, but mine has polished sides and the new gen is brushed, and I like that a lot more. The logo went from printed to now applied. The new bracelet, hands down, one of the biggest improvements on the entire watch. The clasp is nicer, and I mean way nicer, with the addition of a micro adjust that is buttery smooth. The bottom line is everything about this new generation looks a little more expensive, a little more refined. Everything is all around a better watch. And yet all of this brings me full circle once again to thinking exactly who did Longines build this watch for. I think it is no big secret that with these new changes, Longines has intentionally turned the Hydro Conquest from a niche enthusiast diver into the most broadly appealing entry-level luxury diver in its price range. Translation: slim down the crown guards, take the big numerals off, slim the case down, and boom, the Hydro Conquest has now become the most affordable way to get something with real heritage that looks and feels as close to a Rolex Submariner as you will ever find at this price point. Now, is that a good thing? I don't know, but one thing is clear. Longines has purposely parked this watch in a weird spot. And the longer I sit with it, the more I think that it just may be genius. They have positioned themselves as a purchase whether you're looking for a beater or a grail. If you already own a Submariner or a Seamaster, maybe a Black Bay, this is your beater, the one you take on vacation. This is the case with my friend CJ, and to be honest, I was a little bit surprised when he told me he picked up this watch because I knew what was already in his collection. A Rolex Sea Dweller, a Rolex Explorer 2, a Breitling Super Ocean, an Omega Planet Ocean. Bottom line, see him when he's on vacation and you know what you won't see on his wrist? Any of the watches just mentioned. The other side of the coin would be me when I purchased the older generation back in the day. At that point, this watch was $1,000 and it was the absolute ceiling for me. I won't use the word grail because even back then my grail was a Submariner, but I will tell you this, because I wanted something with heritage, this watch was about as close as I could get with the budget that I was working with. Which brings me right back to where we started once again. Who is this watch for? Well, in my opinion, it is one's grail and another's beater. And yes, I will admit that they had to make it a little more vanilla to pull that off, but there is one thing that I think should not be overlooked. No matter if this is the grail in your collection or the beater, it's respectable in either. And that is something that most brands cannot pull off. So I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on the new Hydro Conquest? Where does this thing land in your collection? And to CJ, man, thank you for allowing me to borrow your new watch. And damn, man, you even went as far as to allow me to remove the stickers. So I appreciate it. For everyone else, if you're still here, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch. I'm James. This is Blue Collar Luxe, and I will see you in the next one.